Hey, you're joining an interview here with John Yo. We'll call him John Yo-Yo, and it's the Hoover Institute, and he's going to talk about the Defense Production Act.
And decide what to do with it at the border when it comes into the country. Right? Once it's inside Maryland, I think they are. Now, your other question about the Defense Production Act is interesting. And again, I would be wary of using the Defense Production Act to sort of say we can reopen the whole economy. The Defense Production Act, if you look at its terms, it's really a national security law about, in wartime, making sure that government is getting enough war material to fight the war. And so the best use of it, and what the statute really talks about, is prioritizing federal requests for equipment, allocating resources so federal demands get met first. To use the Defense Production Act in the way people are worried about would raise constitutional questions if you used it to sort of take things away from states, if you used it to seize things from states. I think that might run into constitutional difficulties.
Let's just shift over to the question of immunity, John. There's been a lot of debate in the last...
Okay, back to the question at hand, the Defense Production Act. And the reason I put this out for you on YouTube is that the very first video that I ever made was called the 80-Year War Cycle. In fact, it's the one with the highest views on my channel, and it's very simple. I don't have any fancy video making skills or anything like that. I just do some simple math right in front of your eyes with the last war in 1941. Add 80, that gets you to the year 2021. And I was speculating but also projecting, based on the 80-year war cycle, the possibility of a war in the year 2021. In a way, all of this with the coronavirus is a war. In fact, the expenditures that they're dishing out here might far exceed what we would call a bombs and bullets war. And President invoking the Defense Production Act is basically a wartime action. So, are we in a war right now? The America that we know and we live in, yes, it appears to be. It's a war on an invisible enemy that doesn't exist, just as all wars, an enemy that does not exist, with high expenditures for nothing. But because of witchcraft, because of hypnotism, because of hypnos, people truly believe it exists, and people truly think everything that's being done is really worth it. So I wanted to bring this to your attention, that it ties in with my very first video. And not only that, this whole thing is not, quote, over yet. So is there a possibility for a bombs and bullets war? There still is. There's some hatred building towards China because China, this virus originated and they didn't do anything. All of that's nonsense. Could it possibly be that China would be targeted for another phony war? It's possible. Anything's possible in the world of hoaxology. But I wanted to call your attention to the fact that the Defense Production Act was invoked, which is indicative of a war. Hence, it does tie in with the 80-year war cycle video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It was my very first video, and it might be at the very, very bottom of the list. You can just go to play all and then do it by date and reverse it, the oldest video, and it probably should come up for you absolutely number one because it was the very first one I did. So I want to thank you for watching, and again I want to remind you that the real war is a spiritual war, and we are at war with the powers and principalities of the air, and we are at war with the devil himself, but we have a commander who defeated all of that on our behalf, namely the Lord Jesus Christ. To him be praise, honor, and glory. Thank you for watching this video.